Hello, internet people. I just had some stuff that was heavy on my mind that I wanted to rant about. Um, I think I'm gonna put this video in the narcissistic abuse recovery because the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've realized that that's where it all stems from. So I've been thinking a lot about different like patterns and cycles that happen in my intimate relationships, and uh, it's really hard to not feel like it's just all your fault and you suck and whatever. But while also too still accepting that you do have some responsibility, especially as an adult, maybe not as a child, because uh, if for any of you who aren't really familiar with me, I grew up with a mother who likely has narcissistic personality disorder, or at the very least exhibits many traits of narcissism and abuses in a narcissistic way to feed her own ego. She is not diagnosed. Nothing's wrong with her. She'll never go to the doctor for any of that. But so when we grow up with a parent that has narcissistic personality disorder or something similar, whatever, because most of them won't be diagnosed, let's be real. No one who is truly suffering from narcissistic personality disorder thinks that there's anything wrong with their personality. They literally blame everyone else all the time, and they feel like the victim constantly. And it's really hard too, because you can see these patterns in yourself and you wonder, am I also suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, or am I just copying these traits that I learned in childhood? And regardless of what my therapists have all said, I still will always probably worry that, like, am I narcissistic? Like, and I guess maybe I should focus more on, is this trait narcissistic rather than it leading back to some innate flaw with me. But anyways, I digress. I wanted to talk about codependency cycles that I've noticed personally in myself. And so, and it's really embarrassing, and it sounds really stupid when I have come to realize what's happening and I say it out loud. And I mean, I'm kind of just guessing at my subconscious desires, kind of, because they feel true, but we really don't know. I guess that's like the whole point of the subconscious, and that's what makes identifying subconscious thoughts tricky, because are we just projecting our own insecurities onto what we think our subconscious thoughts are, or are we actually getting in touch with the subconscious? And it's all gray area. But the best we can do is keep questioning and keep asking different questions, keep our minds open, to all possibilities. But my cycle, I was raised by a narcissistic mother, and in my childhood, what that taught me is that there's this dynamic in human-to-human relationships where one person is the winner and the other person is the loser. And that's how relationships are. That's what's normalized when you are a child being raised by someone like that, because that's how life is with them. And as you grow older through childhood, you start to, have other people in your life, even though the narcissist will oftentimes try to keep people out of your life so that this doesn't happen. You start to recognize, not all my relationships are like this. It's them. I didn't ask for this. I have good relationships with other people. And you start to see that, they're this way with everyone, right? But you unconsciously learn that there's a good guy and a bad guy in the relationships. This like power dynamic, this struggle, that's how relationships are. And even as you start to slowly learn, like, oh, this isn't real, you still have the childhood map of reality that says this is what's real. And as much as we grow up, there's still certain things that we hold on to from our childhood, because childhood is, it's monumental. It's the foundation of adulthood, really. And so the things we learn then, we usually just build on them. And it's really hard to sway completely the opposite direction, and even harder to find somewhere in the middle between that and the opposite, because either it feels too much like the thing we knew and we're trying to rebel, or it doesn't feel enough like what we were taught. Middle path is always hardest. But I find it's the most peaceful when I can get there. So because of this ingrained power struggle that is normalized in relationships for you as a person who is just coming out of childhood, you subconsciously are seeking a romantic partner that will mimic and mirror that familiar dynamic, because even if it's miserable, guess what? That's what you know. And a lot of people don't realize that they really would prefer the pain and suffering they know over the uncertainty of life. Sometimes a sure thing is a sure thing, whether it's bad or good, and sometimes that's better than not knowing what the hell's going to happen next. At least for me. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm crazy for sure. We don't have to put the maybe there. But so then you seek out this like codependent romantic relationship. I did. I mean, a lot of really looking back, even in high school, I sought out my most serious relationship in high school. We dressed alike. We had similar haircuts, same hair color. Like if you looked at us from the side, we looked like the same person. We were one. And that was probably not healthy. I mean, it's the kind of, young love you only get when you're stupid, though. But that is just really like a very bold example to myself of how codependency was just normalized in me. That I felt like we had to need each other for it to mean anything. And the older I get, the more aware I am of the fact that I hate that. Like I don't want to have a relationship where I need you or you need me, because that's strain and tension. I want to have relationships where I got me, you got you, and then we help each other out when we can, and we have more than what we would have if we were just on our own, and it benefits everyone. And everyone says they want that, but then we have to look at the role we play and what we actually choose and what we're subconsciously seeking, because I can consciously say that's what I want, and in my head I know 100% that's what I want. But then when I look at my subconscious, or I try to anyways, if I look at the patterns of my actions, those are the clue into my subconscious, right? And my pattern is that I pick people that I just like will hyperfixate on, and we need each other. And I think what I need, is to just spend time focusing on what else it is I need, and maybe making boundaries for what I think a relationship should be for myself. But I mean, even too with my son's birth father, that was a really, really bad cycle of codependency too, that escalated from verbal abuse to physical abuse to sexual assault. And it's crazy looking back, and shameful really, the things that I allowed to happen to me and I forgave, and I looked past things that probably shouldn't have been forgiven. And was it because I just wanted to be a good person that bad that I was willing to let anyone do anything to me? Maybe. I don't know. But, that's that like toxic cycle of codependency. I'm like desperate for someone to need me. I'm desperate for someone that I can need, that subconsciously, because I don't know. I'm wanting a familiar relationship because it's scary having healthy relationships with people, having boundaries, and having, all those things. And I've messed up some friendships because I wasn't good at setting boundaries, and I wasn't good at receiving boundaries. And it sucks to realize that that's my fault too, because I'm seeking toxicity. And I don't want to do that. But I do know that the first step in stopping myself is to just fucking call it out. And now I've got this great fucking internet video that I can just make myself watch anytime I'm thinking about going back to toxicity. But yeah, so codependency cycles, oh fuck, I had a whole other thing and then I digressed into another tangent. I did want to go on. So in my adult relationships, because my high school relationship obviously was toxic and just too clingy, as an adult, having someone who I could, I guess, have as like a safety blanket was something I was seeking without really realizing. Someone who could love me unconditionally, warts and all, but then I wouldn't love them warts and all because their warts were really, really fucking bad. Possibly worse than mine, but I'm sure that's subjective anyways. Maybe the same bad, and I just don't realize it. Maybe we both have not as bad intentions, you know. And it's sad because I do think in a lot of toxic relationships where both parties just aren't exhibiting healthy, like, relationship rules and boundaries and shit, it's hard to place blame anywhere because it's both and neither. Like, yeah, it's both y'all's fault, but at the same time, it's not really your fault. You just have to take this as a learning experience, you know? And it is your fault if you keep repeating that pattern. You choose at a certain point to ignore the idea that, yeah, I can change. Yeah, this can be different. You know, you can ignore that you have any responsibility in hurting yourself, and you're just going to hurt yourself more. You're not doing yourself any favors. I know, because I did that, you know? And it's really hard watching people you care about go through things you've been through, and you try and tell them, like, look, I've been through this. This is the solution. But for some reason, it just doesn't work for them. And I guess that's because everyone's different. But it's heartbreaking. It makes you feel helpless. And that's part of the codependency cycle, is feeling like you need to save other people. And really, I think it's just because I feel like my problems are so unsolvable that I can just distract myself by finding someone worse off than me and fixing all their problems, which seem like simple fixes to me, but the truth is, it's not simple when you're coming from life as them in their life. Everyone in their own life has these issues that I have with facing my own problems. So I think about role reversal, and if someone came in and fixed all my problems, like, I would still have issues, and I would still probably be looking for distractions from them so I don't have to face them. And I get it. And so it's hard to be upset or angry, really. Being upset and angry are a little different. It's hard to be angry when you understand someone's, you know, reasons for doing things, and you empathize with them, even when it hurts you. But I think, so far what I've come to in breaking the cycle of codependency, because this is narcissistic abuse recovery, there's the vent part, I think really just focusing on myself and making small yet attainable goals daily to keep myself motivated and on track, while also having some long-term goals, because you have to have those long-term goals to give you a final destination, because otherwise, if you're just taking baby steps, you don't know where you're going. You could be going in circles, you know? You have to have that end destination that's further ahead, and then you can take the little steps on the path there and the different branches you want to take to the finish line, whatever. But I think too, finding ways to build your own self-confidence when you have, you know, grown up being abused by a narcissist, and you've found yourself choosing relationships with narcissists because no one forces you into them, and that's the shitty part, is realizing I picked that at the beginning. And yeah, they lied and they hid all the bad parts of themselves at first. We all hide the bad parts of ourselves when we're meeting new people, because who wants to, like, meet new people and have them be like, that's a shit person? You know? So we all give our best self when we meet new people. But, you know, we choose who we interact with in normal relationships, you know. And obviously everything I'm saying, if that's not the case, don't throw my advice on it, you know. But I just think building self-esteem, self-confidence, building a bit of faith in yourself that you can do things if you really decide that you're going to do them. For better or for worse, you know? And when I've been able to turn my powerlessness into empowerment, like, the side effect is motivation. And that's crazy because I haven't had motivation in a really long time in life and have been suffering from like a loss of pleasure and stuff from the like lack of motivation, or tied to the lack of motivation as well. But so it's crazy to me to be finding motivation in self-empowerment when I feel like I have a choice. Then I suddenly have the energy to make a choice, and it's inversely, that means I didn't have motivation because I didn't feel like I really had a choice. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like I had energy to do it because I didn't feel like I had a say in whether I did it or not anyways. And that's another little, like, mind-blowing revelation. I've been thinking a lot lately. I had a lot of time to myself. And just, it's interesting once you start actively being able to redirect your thoughts from negative into positives, and then being able to identify those emotions and like really figure out how they're making you feel in your body, in your mind and everything, like, and then once you accept it and you like go through it and you find something that'll bring you catharsis in this emotion, then it's gone. And that's fucking awesome. I don't know. I'm really excited for the future for the first time in a long time, actually. And I feel a little guilty feeling so upbeat and positive despite recent things that have happened in my life, and, just endings of human to human relationships where both people are hurt at the end of it. It sucks when relationships end like that. I think everyone feels guilty, and everyone also feels angry. And I think I said in a previous video, it's really hard having conflicting emotions because then it feels like one negates the other and vice versa. But the truth is that both are just equally as valid. You just have conflicting emotions. Have fun. But, I guess I'll end this video because it's too fucking long and it may not even upload on YouTube. So, have fun. Don't get codependent on my lame video. Oh my god, that was a terrible pun. I might delete this part of the video. I don't know. Maybe I'll be lazy. Bye.